5:30 p.m. and we have a quorum. So the board will convene its regular monthly meeting at this time. Trustee Gomez, would you lead us in prayer?
Sure. Please stand. Bow your head, put us in God's blessings. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks and praise for another wonderful day. We give you thanks for this beautiful rain that you've blessed us with. We ask that you continue to bless us with more rain. And we ask that you continue to watch over us and guide us as we deliberate all the effects of Coastal Bend College and the people that we serve, students, faculty, and staff. And we ask this through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Okay. Item 2 on the agenda. Are there any members or visitors present? All right. Item number 3, public comments. My understanding that there may be at least one public comment?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Then I've got a little, some remarks I need to, okay, thank you. All right. Some remarks before we hear from our speaker. The board encourages comments from citizens, employees, and students of the college district. Anyone wishing to speak, either as an individual or as a representative of a group, may do so following the procedure outlined in the board policy BDB local. The board asks that comments pertain to public education issues and be no longer than 5 minutes. Remember that the board may not discuss or act upon any issues that are not posted on our agenda for tonight's meeting. If an issue mentioned is listed on tonight's agenda, the board will defer discussion until the appropriate time during the meeting. Once you have made your presentation, you are free to leave or you may stay to watch the meeting. In addition, the board has adopted complaint procedures or policies that are designed to secure at the lowest administrative level a prompt and equitable resolution of complaints and concerns. Complaints brought by students, by employees, and by citizens may be heard in accordance with board policies. Each of these processes provides that if a resolution cannot be achieved administratively, the person may appeal the administrative decision to the board as a properly posted agenda item. Copies of our district policies on public participation in meetings and filing complaints are available on the CBC website. Okay, Mr. Graham, at this time, you may step to the podium and give your remarks.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Rusty Graham. I'm an employee here at Coastal Bend College. My remark is simply, if agenda item 12D does pertain to me, I would like that to be discussed in open session, not executive session.
Can I respond?
No, sir.
No.
All right, anything else, Mr. Graham?
Yes, I would like to further add that a formal complaint has been filed, so I ask that the board do take that into consideration prior to any final action. That's all.
All right, anything else?
No, sir.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Item 4, comments by individual board members, if any. All right. Item number 5, update by the college president.
So this is going to be one of the months that we do have 300 slides to present on the update by the college president.
That's a good thing.
But I ask for your patience. So we've had a very energized month. I think I'm very happy with the work that we've been doing throughout our communities. And as we brought month to month to the board, we've been getting a lot of positive feedback regarding community engagement and just community involvement and us being present within our communities. So just some quick updates that I have for the trustees. We held our Women's in History Month celebration, Diamonds of Distinction, on March 24th. The event was very well attended. It was really inspirational to see the large number of women that have had a substantial impact within our communities, that are serving as leaders, that are really driving the mission that we have at the college forward. I know Trustee Flynn was there, and she shared her story with us. Trustee Flynn, I want to just thank you for sharing that story with us and really grounding us in the work that we do to serve our students. It really does allow us to recognize and evaluate why we're in the work that we do day to day. So, and we had several other community members that were part of that event, and it was very well attended. The next item is we had a donation from our good friends at ConocoPhillips. I know Glenna Strauss, who some of you may know, that team has always been very supportive of Coastal Bend College. We did get a $1,000 donation, and that is going towards safety equipment for our police department. So we're very excited to keep that collaboration going, and we had some very open conversations regarding potential internships and apprenticeships for our students at the college. So we're excited to undertake that work in the next couple of months with ConocoPhillips specifically and other industry partners within the region. The next event that we had was on March 26th. We had a roundtable discussion on economic development for the city of Alice. So I do want to thank Mayor Carrasco for allowing us to participate in that event. Other community partners that were present were Real Transportation. We had Workforce Solutions, who was also there at that roundtable event. And we had some very open dialogue on how we can support our communities through the programs that we offer and the services that are provided to our students. And it was really insightful to hear that we obviously need to have a large focus within the healthcare industry, which I know that Coastal Bend College does very, very well in our programmatic offerings, but also really aligning what we can do with respect to wraparound services and how our students, one, get to college, the barriers that we removed as far as our tuition and fee structure, and what that looks like in partnership. So we're excited to continue these conversations with our community partners, and we've been very active in engaging them in how we align that with our strategic plan, which we'll be presenting here today as well, the draft that we have for that for the upcoming 5 years. The next event, April 1st, was a very exciting day for us. We did not market or publish any of the Promise Program events on April 1st because we didn't want people to think that it was an April Fool's joke. So we intentionally waited until the following day. But we did make it a point to actually visit each of the campuses. We were able to successfully visit each campus within our service district area, Alice, Kingsville, Pleasanton, and here in Beeville. We had a large turnout respectively across all campuses. I think in total we had upwards of about 100 people that assisted, both students, parents, family members, and community members. We also had some of the ISDs that were part of that event and that were wanting to show their support. I was able to meet with the new superintendent for Pleasanton ISD, and we had some very open conversation about how we can partner and collaborate on the programmatic offerings that we have in that area as well. To date, Dr. Barroso, do we have a count of how many applications we've had so far since the launch of the Promise Program?
We're at 85.
85, okay. So just within a few weeks alone, we've already had some good feedback and students actually submitting that application. So I shared with the team that now the fun starts. Now we get more external and we get serious about fundraising and making sure that we're able to sustain that program long-term moving forward. So you'll see me a lot more externally within our communities to make sure that we can keep this initiative going long-term for our communities. So good turnout, good feedback, and we got a large response from our community. Dr. Barroso, I don't know if you want to share just some of the feedback that we got or just your perspectives as the VP of Enrollment Management.
It was a great experience across all campuses. We had a great turnout from Alice especially. Students were able to submit the promise on that day. And for very little promotion, 85 is a huge number over the course of a couple of weeks. I will tell you, I think we had about 60 to 70 within that first week alone. And again, that's with no promotion. So the students were going back to their schools and sharing it. The counselors were having students submit it. So I think it's a huge testament to the support that the districts have with CBC. That's really exciting.
That's great. It was a great event, and we've already gotten a lot of good feedback on the initiative and what it means for our communities long term as well.
Do you have some pamphlets, promotional pamphlets?
We are currently working on them. I know we do have the website that has all of the FAQs with respect to the deadline, how to apply, the eligibility requirements, all of it is online. But we are currently in the process of developing some paper-based pamphlets and publications, yeah. And we'll definitely get those to the trustees once we have them ready. Great. The next event that we had was on April 2nd, a community engagement event that is new to Beeville and new to CBC. We had an Easter egg hunt at Joe Hunter Field. I know Melissa Sanchez, who's not here, spearheaded a lot of that work in collaboration with Vinny, our athletic director. I believe they had a total of about 15,000 eggs this time around that they placed on the field. And I got the count from Melissa earlier on today, and we had over 1,000 attendees. I was fortunate to attend the event, and it was just phenomenal to see the number of people and family members and children that were out there. I really think it brought back that sense of community, specifically at Joe Hunter Field and at CBC. So this is an event that we will continue to have moving forward. And one of the things that, some of the feedback that I got from the community members as I was having some conversations with them is that they appreciated having an event in the community that was free of charge. Having something that they could do here locally that they weren't gonna have to spend a substantial amount of money to be able to participate in. Mary and I, we tag teamed that day. She's not in that picture because she's making sure that she's entertaining the boys behind the camera so we could get a good photo. But we were able to get the boys out there, and we got them tired enough to actually put them to bed early that day. So it was a good event, all in all, for everyone involved.
What a great idea to do the glow-in-the-dark
Yeah.
concept. It was really catchy.
Yeah, yeah. It was fun, and just seeing the lines of people waiting to get into Joe Hunter Field was just really amazing on that day. So they did a good job, and next year we'll have some more time. They actually put on this event, I believe, within 5 days, if I'm not mistaken, so it was something that was a spur of the moment, they thought of, executed very well, but this coming year we'll have more time to plan and execute more efficiently, I would say. Yeah. The next item, and I shared this with the trustees, Coastal Bend College has been featured in the April-May edition of the Community College Journal for the work that we've done with the Cougar Jaguars Rural Scholars Initiative in partnership with South Texas College. I was fortunate enough to attend the AACC conference with VP Blightry and Braden to really focus on some best practices that other colleges are undertaking with respect to assessment and really anything higher education. And it was just really great seeing these magazines lined up at the conference that others could take and really use our best practice as a model on how we're opening access to rural education within our community. So I would encourage the trustees to, if you haven't gotten a chance to already, read the article. It's on page 30 and 31 of this journal. And this is one of the many publications to come. I know we just were made aware of another award that we'll be receiving here soon. We'll share those details within the next couple of weeks and at our upcoming board meetings with the trustees. A lot of great work, so we're happy, we're chugging along, and we have a great team across the college. Our faculty, our staff, our administration, and our executive team are really pushing the envelope on what we need to do to make sure that we're visible, not only locally, but also statewide and regionally across the nation as well. So some really great work that's taking place. So we undertook a community survey. I know our community has been eager to experience what would be the inaugural mariachi program at CBC. I did want to share that currently we did have the name Mariachi Costa Azul and the #1 running for the names that were prompted. 124 people voted, and 49.2% of those individuals selected Mariachi Costa Azul as the possible inaugural name for CBC's mariachi program. I have some other great details that I'll share with the trustees during executive regarding that program and where we expect to be at the fall as soon as we launch it for CBC. So some really exciting times. I think this is one of the upcoming last events that we had within this past month. Actually, on Friday, I was fortunate to attend a regional convening with A&M Kingsville on their campus, their Caring Campus initiative. I met with Dr. Bella, I met with Dr. Stamia, and Dr. Minita Ramirez as well. And we discussed really building a framework regionally within our service area on making sure that regardless of where students are going, that they experience the same level of care within our campuses and service through this initiative. So I did share this information with the trustees over email, but we've been invited to be part of this cohort through the Caring Campus Initiative. Typically, institutions have to pay $100,000 to participate yearly, but as part of that invitation and some grant funds that A&M Kingsville was able to secure, we've been invited to participate for 3 years at no charge. That will be instrumental to how the experience our students have on campus. Dr. Barroso, Dean Secord was also present. Dean Secord, I don't know if you want to share just some tidbits or insights regarding the convening or any takeaways. I thought it was amazing. I'm excited for us to launch this project. I actually got an email from the project manager earlier today, and we'll begin the work as early as this summer with our staff, and then in the fall we'll begin the work with orienting our faculty on what it is to be a caring campus at CBC.
No, it was a great event, and to see all the presidents come together like they did, from Laredo, Del Mar, Texas A&M Kingsville, Dr. Suarez, you know, to see all these institutions that have they've worked from a distance in the past. You know, we've had agreements and whatnot, but they're working very closely. They're all aligned in their vision. It was a really refreshing thing to see, very inspiring. And the individuals that wrote this grant were present, and they really want to bring this forward and make it happen, the Caring Campus Initiative. So we're very fortunate to be a part of it, and it's cutting edge, and everybody's on board. That's the best part of this, just to see the interactions. Wonderful.
And just to give the trustees just some quick insight on what a caring campus is, it's really a framework, a model that we will adopt. Some of the strategies that they shared, for example, we tend to publish office hours for faculty, right? Students don't really know what that means, and even when they do try and visit with faculty to get support with advising or just course content, the office hours terminology becomes something that's very scary. They think that they're intruding on faculty that are maybe grading or doing something related to the coursework. So they've transitioned that terminology, which is part of the framework. There's a lot of other strategies that are part of it, but really labeling those office hours as student support hours, right? Just the terminology in itself transitions how students interact with our faculty. The fact that every employee on campus wears a name badge, right? And there's no designation as the president, the vice president, or CFO. We're all here to serve students, so the title shouldn't matter. It's just recognizing that when a student interacts with us, they know that if they see me on campus or anyone wearing a name badge, that's a support service that they can be provided. So that model as a whole, I think, is going to be instrumental for how we grow our enrollment, but more importantly, how we serve our students long-term and the experience that we give them at CBC. So very excited about that work taking
We
place.
saw a presentation about a caring campus when Dr. Hoggard was here. And in fact, that's what we were supposed to, and I think to some degree we did model our quality enhancement plan after. So we have some exposure to it, but it seemed like a real promising concept when it was presented. I can't remember the school that it was, I don't know if anyone remembers, I don't remember the school that it was, but we saw the presentation, we saw some of the students talking about their experience, and it was really effective.
Yeah. And I think holistically, it really is a culture change, a culture shift. I was sharing with Dr. Vela when we were in that convening. We had the pleasure of attending their homecoming game a couple of months ago, and I was quite literally just wearing a CBC shirt and some jeans. It was a football game, and the faculty pulled me aside. They didn't know that I was the president for Coastal Bend College, and they said, "You want some brisket?" I had some brisket nachos that day, which were really, really good, and they were provided by the ag department. So to them, beef is a science. They timed it to a certain temperature, and they let it curate for a certain amount of time. And they were really engaged in how they wanted to communicate. But that culture shift has resonated even to their faculty, which I think is important in just how we service our students, the community, the people that come to campus. I'm very excited for this work to take place at CBC moving forward. So it was a really good meeting, and you can't beat free. So right.
So some barbecue.
Yeah.
300,000.
Yeah, the next item is the Rosetta Club tablescapes on April 18th. We were very well represented by Coastal Bend College staff. I know the theme was Coco, and there was also some sneak peeks with respect to our mariachi, which I thought was very intuitive and engaging. I can't think
That's so cute.
yeah, Katrina and Susie and Kashunda and everyone there that represented CBC very well. We're very happy to not only sponsor but also participate in that event. So it was great. So next up, we have it's been tradition with our mission moment. Our team, right, the college as a whole, we really make it a point to acknowledge and recognize the individuals that are undertaking our mission day to day. I do want to share that we were a little deceitful with this mission moment, as we have been, I think, with the past 3 mission moments, but I think it's well intended. We want to recognize Armando Ramirez for just his support of students and the mission that we have at CBC. Just to give you all some insight on how this mission moment came about, as many of you may know, we had some transitions that took place within our automotive department early this spring. We were kind of scrambling to identify a faculty member. A few days before classes started, I'll let Secor kind of share the story. And Armando is, as you all know, a very successful business owner within Beeville. He's been a very successful faculty member at CBC, really has engaged our students in what we would like to see across the board within our instructional quality in our programs. And we reached out to him, and without any hesitation, he said, yes, I'll support it, I'll step in. What do we need to do for our students? Probably butchering the story, so Mark, if you want to go ahead and
Please do.
Yeah.
It's real inspirational story. I got dressed up just for him.
I told him I'm sorry I didn't.
Well, as Dr. Suarez mentioned, literally days before the start of the spring semester, the previous instructor notified us that he would not be returning. And the classes were full, so we were scrambling. And I called Mossy, right, the chair of the industrial division. And I said, what do you think? I said, do you think Mondo might be able to help us? We called Mondo. And he said, give him a call. And I also talked with Dr. Bladrick. And I called Armando up, and he said, come on down to the shop. We can't just leave these kids without an instructor. We'll figure this out. I was very inspired. So I drove down to the shop, and we sat down, and he said, we'll make this work. And you have to understand that he took over his father's shop, and he's been running it. So this is a full-time job for him, running that shop. And he said, I'll make this happen. So we talked about some options. He said, I can give you some time. And I said, well, how about if we can hybridize? He said, is it possible? And I said, we can make it happen. He said, we need to take care of these kids. That's what he said. Special guy. To see someone step up. We're blessed to have him in our community. I thank Dr. Suarez for recognizing him.
And I will share that this is the first time that we present a mission moment to one of our CBC faculty. Definitely not the last, but Armando, just thank you so much. We appreciate all your support. It means a lot to our college and our students, and this is just a small token of our appreciation for everything that you do for us.
No, really, truly, we're very thankful. So, 20 years in education for me. It was hard to step away. Very passionate about this industry, and I hope that it goes and it continues. I had a father that went through the program here at Coastal Bend College through automotive, a brother, a nephew, and myself. So it's been a family program for us, and I hope it just continues. So it definitely wasn't easy for me to walk away from, and definitely wasn't easy it was very easy for me to say yes to helping. So I appreciate everything, appreciate the time. 20 years for me has gone by very fast. I started whenever I was young. Very excited for the next chapter of my life. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I gotta say something.
Yeah.
Hurry up.
When I was the director of a workforce, I hired him.
Well, you got to be, I saw him grow up.
All right.
His father and my father both attended this at the same time, but I'll tell you what, when he decided to take over, when you hired him, and he asked about it, the one thing that I really enjoyed was, if you ever saw the shop before he took over.
Oh, yeah.
It was deplorable at best. And he came on his off period, cleaned it up, repainted it, got some paint donated, and fixed it up to look better than some of our own local service areas that are dealerships. And I think that spoke volumes about his commitment, his integrity, to both himself, the students, and the community he serves. And he's done an excellent job. We've sent several people, I've sent several people over here to him, just to help out, and he's never said no. And he's, one thing that's, you know, people that don't always say no, or never say no, sometimes the quality gets a little, you know, scanty, just because they take on so much. But he hasn't. He knew when to say no, he knew when to say yes, and his quality of work, not only in his professional work, personally, but what he put into the students, what he poured into the students. 100% pass rate on ASC certifications, and 100% job placement for the entire time he was here.
Yep.
Who else in this
Wow.
entire community college can say that? I've never seen a department that can say that except for his. So again, I know he left, he was a little emotional, but well deserved, so.
Very dedicated.
Just want to add that to
Could we
you.
get the local paper maybe to do a follow-up story or something? Could we, I don't know how we would work with our department and theirs to publish something,
We can get with our marketing team and definitely get something out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
right?
Right.
It needs to be
That is a shining star.
more than just us, yeah.
I really want a whole dissertation on his program.
You too.
Yeah, like, he's done amazing work.
Yeah. Excellent.
I think that the employment rate is still 100%, so
Yeah.
the program's doing good.
Yeah.
By the freshman,
Going
by the end of the first semester of their freshman year, they have a job.
Yeah, it's remarkable.
Excellent.
Remarkable.
Great.
Make it bigger.
Just some quick updates on some upcoming events. We have the Tassia Marie Silva's 2026 Folklorico Summer Workshop taking place July 18th to the 21st. Trustee Silvas, if you want to provide some information or
I
just.
would love to. I'm very excited to report that we're getting a lot of feedback. We've already received calls from McAllen, San Antonio, Houston, of course, Beeville and Corpus Christi. I attended for political competition on 27th and 28th of February in Del Valle High School that had over 500 for political students competing. They took a lot of CBC material back home, and they took a lot of information. And then I attended the March 21st and 22nd for political competencia in Corpus Christi. Again, they had over 500 for political participants. And I'll be in Round Rock next weekend, and that's going to be, it's gonna be throughout the US. We're gonna have people coming in from Colorado, New Mexico, California, Arizona. So I'm very excited to see the groups. We just been getting a lot of comments on it. We were on the Domingo Live Show this weekend. They invited me last minute. They actually wanted me to show up on Easter Day, and I'm like, there's no way I can pull this off. But I told them yes for the next weekend, so that was this last Sunday. And we got a call from KED TV that's doing an article on us, and they've been promoting it. They said they had 9,000 followers, and they were gonna send the information out to all of them. So we are trying to raise money. We have written a grant to the Texas Cultural Arts Commission to sponsor Mariachi Azteca. They charged $3,500. They actually charged $3,700 and gave us a $200 discount. But they wanted us to raise $3,500, which I'm trying to work on. Carnes National Bank has already pledged $500 and Rally $300. So we got a ways to go. The Commission of the Arts thinks they can give us $1,400, but we just submitted the grant and we're waiting on some things from Mariachi Azteca. But if anybody would like to sponsor, we have different levels of sponsorship, and we will take any contribution. So, but thank you.
Thank you, trustee, and thank you for this work. And once again, that support and getting us visible within our communities goes a long way, so we appreciate that work as well.
And just
To
so you
all
know,
of
the
trustees.
mariachi instructor here in Beeville has taken 65 applications for the mariachi program.
Yeah.
She's trying to figure out her monies.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great. And lastly, we have our spring 2026 commencement ceremonies. These are taking place May 14th and 15th, and I'll share with the trustees at the end of the board meeting with respect to the announcements on the times and the dates for those ceremonies and paintings. Yeah, but that's it for my presidential update. Yeah, we don't have anything on consent, so we'll go to the reports. Oh, yes, sure. So you do it now, and today's I think this is gonna be a day of a lot of tears, I think. But obviously we know that Trustee Eloy Rodriguez is this is gonna be his last board meeting with us. Trustee, I wanna just, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your support, not only to me in this leadership role, but also to the college community at whole. I wanted to share just my experience with Trustee Rodriguez when I onboarded, when I started at the college. I know he asked for us to go and have lunch, and we went to Chapala. And apparently, Trustee Rodriguez knows everyone at Chapala because he made it a point to introduce me to everyone. And I don't think, definitely in that moment, he realized how meaningful you taking the time and actually making me feel welcome within the community and letting me know that I was supported in the work that we would be doing over the next couple of months meant. For me, it has allowed me to just operate more confidently in this work and the work that we'll be undertaking for the college in the next couple of years. So for what it's worth, I just want to thank you for taking that approach with me and for being of service to not only the college but to the community and to me in this leadership role. And I know the trustees have similar sentiments that they would like to share, and I'd welcome any.
Yeah, I've got some remarks, and I know there are going to be others, but I know the board's going to greatly miss Eloy's service on this board. As everyone knows, he's a highly respected member of the community, and he's respected for his community service, for his military service in the Vietnam War, highly decorated veteran. Everyone looks up to Eloy. I don't think I've ever heard a bad or negative word about Eloy the whole time I've lived in Beeville, and I was born and raised here. Eloy has always provided wise and astute counsel to the board. He's always calm, the embodiment of honor and professionalism. In the boardroom, Eloy has always shown great compassion and empathy for the CVC students, faculty, and staff in matters that come before the board, particularly in executive session. He has been a huge advocate for all of them. Personally, I'll miss Eloy. He's been a great supporter of mine. I wouldn't be sitting in this chair if it weren't for Eloy, so you can blame Eloy for that. I'm very grateful to Eloy, and I just want to say thank you so much on behalf of the board, and I would invite any comments from my fellow trustees at this time.
When I first moved to Beeville, he was one of the first persons that I met here. And just like you, Dr. Suarez, he made me feel very welcome, and he took me around to meet different people and got me involved with some organizations that he was a part of. And I was fortunate to serve on 2 boards with him, the ISD board and here, and in both I learned about being a board member from Mr. Rodriguez. You know, he was my mentor and continues to be a mentor to me. Even on this board, he has offered me wise counsel when we've been in situations that we could use. And a part of me will always miss him because he's been a part of my life in one way or another throughout the time that I've been here, and is one of the most noteworthy persons in Beeville that I've ever met in all aspects, from his military service to his dedication to his community and willingness to serve on boards and going above and beyond for just about anyone. His compassion for students, we see it all the time in the boardroom and in executive sessions. It's one to be emulated. So I'm very honored to have been part of his mentees, because I'm sure he has several.
I also want to say that, you know, I've been here 38 years, and Eloy was one of the first people to welcome me to Beeville and welcome my kids. My kids have grown up. They were all in elementary when we got here to Beeville. And he's like a godfather to all of them. And I'm not going to miss him because I'm still going to see him around the ballparks. But Eloy has been wonderful, and he loves students, he loves education, and he's just been compassionate about all that and has always shared his entire life with everybody. So thank you, Eloy, for everything you've done for our community. We love you.
I mean, they say everything already. I have nothing to say. Except just, like I said, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Marcy.
I've known this man since I was 18. I'm 68. He knew my mom.
Yeah, it's Mr. Christmas. When I wear a pink shirt, this has always been great pants with pink shirts.
So she helped him with his dressing. But she spoke so highly of him. And it's been an honor to know such a man for such a long time. A man of integrity and honesty and dedication to his country. And I will miss you. And I will see you too.
I see you. So, let's see, you've known me 51 years, so.
Oh, we playing back and forth now.
But I can say that I've seen many sides of Eloy. And I've probably enjoyed the best part of it, which is his wise counsel, as someone down the road said, because I really didn't ever know him in the capacity as a fellow board member as I have as opposed to the times that I've known you as a mentor, as a teacher, as a disciplinarian, and then as
A
a
disciplinary.
disciplinarian. Whether it be sports, whether it be in school, any part of that. And of course, he's known my family for years as well. And it's just, I really have enjoyed the last however many years we've been together here on board. So thank you, and I can't see anything different than anyone else said. I can only echo it and add to it, and I'm glad it's done now, as opposed to posthumously.
Yeah.
Because at least you get to hear it all.
I hear that. Most of it was good.
It's all great.
Right?
Yeah, it's all great.
I want to thank each and every one of you. I really didn't have too much in response, but I did bring some papers with me.
Oh, I do want to make one correction, though. I do want to make one correction. She said everyone looks up to you.
But no, thank you everyone for your kind words, much appreciated. It's been an honor for me to serve on this board and make a difference. I've been in education all my life, all my adult life. High school, 13, the best 13, what do they call it? The best 5 years of my life. But no, I do have a joke, education joke. I was a school teacher, then I became a principal, then I became an assistant superintendent, and I like to tell everybody that after that I went to prison for 10 years.
Just to get away from it.
No, but I ran the education system for Region 4 for the prison system.
That's right.
But again, thank you so much, everybody, for your support. Number one thing for everybody is students first. Success happens here, so
Amen.
let's keep it up.
And just as a small token of our appreciation, Trustee Rodriguez, on behalf of the college and the Board of Trustees, we did want to present you with this beautiful plaque We hope that it's an honor and recognition of just your service for the college and the work that you've done for our students and our community.
Could I get everybody
Yeah.
up here so we can all see each other?
Cheers.
I got it.
I do.
Wow, I need to get marketing and start coming over here.
Which way are we going?
This way.
Yeah.
We're going this way.
direction.
Side way.
Do me.
Got it.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all you do for us. And we'll invite me to Chapala again.
He's really good.
Okay, item 7, consent agenda. There are no items this evening on the consent agenda items, so we move on to item 8, reports. And we're going to start with item 8B, report on compensation plan, study conducted by CASB. And
Erin is here with
Erin.
us today. She's
Okay.
been our consultant through this process. It's been very meaningful, and we've got a lot of good information that we're excited to share with the trustees. She's been collaborating very closely with Dr. Lytle and the Human Resources team. So the information being presented today, I think it's long overdue, without going into the details of the review. But Erin, I'll let you take it away and present the findings, so to speak, with respect to the TASB compensation review.
Absolutely. Thank you all for having me here tonight. People are very inspiring. This is easily going to be the highlight of my week, getting to hear all the wonderful things you're doing at Coastal Bend College, and thank you all for your service. Thank you for that introduction, Dr. Suarez. I'm Erin, and I work with TASB HR Services. We work with public colleges and also school districts across the state doing compensation studies. And we were delighted to get to work with you at Coastal Bend College this year. Who's got a clicker? Can we go to the next slide?
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. Erin will.
You just went like that.
Ryan will.
So I'll start with our case study process. So we started with data collection. So Dr. Lytle and her team sent us all of your very detailed employee pay data, your processes, your pay systems that you currently use. We also held a kickoff discussion during that time and talked about some of the things that we wanted to focus on for the project. And then from there, we conducted a market pay review. So we gathered market data and then matched common jobs here at Coastal Bend College to common jobs in higher education elsewhere, also outside of education for some positions as well. And then we proposed models for improvement. So we took your current structures, proposed some changes, adjustments, aligned the structures with the market values, and then also made some recommendations for implementation, and that involves adjusting your employee pay. So now we'll just quickly talk about a couple of basic compensation concepts. We can go to the next slide. So a quality market-based pay system has certain objectives. Number one is, of course, to help you at Coastal Bend College recruit employees. And you can do that through competitive entry rates and also competitive pay for experienced new hires. Your pay system should also help you retain the quality employees that you currently have. One way to do that is through a general pay increase that helps you advance pay to market rates and allows you to give market competitive pay increases. Also, your pay system should help you pay for the job value. So we set parameters in the systems that prevent underpayment for a job, but also prevents overpayment for a job. We want to pay for the value of the job. And then last, and important to all of you, is to control costs. So the salary plan and any increases that you give should be driven by your budget. So this is a sample of what a market-based pay system looks like. We've got pay grades. These provide a career path for your employees. And the pay grades have control points. We have the minimum rates, that's the starting rate of pay for those jobs, the midpoint, and then also the maximum rate of pay. And ideally, what we want to see is the midpoints, those lines in the middle, aligned with the market value for the jobs within those ranges. That would be a market-based pay system. And just quickly to talk about market pay strategy, I do want to be clear that when I talk about market competitive pay, that doesn't mean that we want to pay every single person exactly at the market rate for their job, right? So that is the target rate, that's where we set the midpoints of your pay system. But there will be times when it would be appropriate to pay someone under market. That would be someone who's maybe brand new to the job, is still gaining proficiency, and then conversely also, there will be times where it makes sense to pay someone above the market rate. That would be someone very experienced, someone very important to your college, someone that has skills that you really need. That might be a good reason to pay above market. Okay, so now we're going to dive into the findings. On our next slide, we have our market sources. So when I talk about the market tonight, so when I talk
Got it, sir.
Oh, that's so fancy, I can do that next time. So when we talk about the market sources tonight, this is the list that I'm talking about. So these other colleges were selected based on location, proximity to here, and also enrollment, student enrollment size. And then we also selected a couple of ISDs. You'll notice that in the faculty column, we didn't compare any of the ISD teachers to your faculty. We know that's a different job. But there are some jobs that have overlap, certainly in your business office and maintenance and operations, those types of jobs. Another thing I want to point out is that for administrative jobs, so director level and above, we compared you to colleges of similar size only. So that helps us narrow down the scope of those jobs. We also, I mentioned that we use some other market sources, some local industry data for jobs that exist outside of higher education. And the sources are here. We used Comp Analyst and Pay Factors by Pay Scale. These are two third-party salary survey sources that we access data from. Okay, so this is a snapshot of the demographics by experience of your faculty. So Coastal Bend College faculty total experience distribution is diverse across all of your degree levels. The largest group, you can kind of clearly see, has between 1 to 5 years of experience. The majority, 54%, have between 0 to 10 years of experience. We'll go to the next slide. You hired 7 new to you faculty for the 25-26 school year. Experience of your newly hired faculty is also diverse. And around 58% have 5 or fewer years of experience. Okay, so the market comparisons, I'm starting with the master's degree faculty to talk about market comparisons. So we survey at TASB, we survey faculty salaries in 5-year increments. So you can see each of those, and then we also survey master's faculty based on the average pay of that group. All of these are based on 9-month salaries, so the fall and the spring semester. So when we look at this, the very first row, that is your faculty hiring schedule. Now, it is important to point out that many of your faculty are paid above the schedule, but this is how we compare. So that first row is your hiring schedule for each of these benchmark years. The next is the local market median. So we took all of those colleges that we had on the previous list and ranked them from highest paying to lowest paying on starting salaries in each of the benchmark years, and then took the number in the middle. That's the local market median. And then probably most important is this row, that's your percent of market. So big picture here, you are below market at each of these surveyed years. You can kind of visually see that you are closer to the market at starting pay and also at year 5, but then as the schedule continues, you get further from that market rate. And then the bottom row shows you the dollar amount difference from that market median. And we'll go to the next slide. So of course you don't only hire master's degree faculty, so we also looked at comparisons for those that hold a certificate or associate's, a bachelor's and a doctorate. And just kind of big picture, you can see here as well that we're looking at you're closer to the market median again at starting pay in 5 years, and then you do dip a little less competitive later on in this structure. We also reviewed how your part-time or adjunct faculty pay compares to the market. So you're paying $700 per credit hour for part-time faculty. The market median sits somewhere between $750 to $800, so you're within $50 to $100 of that market median for part-time faculty. And then, of course, we looked at all of your other pay groups as well and compared those to the market median. So your main 4 pay groups that are non-faculty, we'll start with administration. That's your directors, VPs, deans fall in this category. They're sitting at about 13% below the market median. So the first column with the percentages is how your employee pay, how your people are paid compared to the market median. The next is how your pay grade midpoints compare to the market median. So it's important to have competitive pay, but also competitive structures. And yours are aligned with each other, but they are, sitting at, for this group, 13 to 16% below market. The professional group is all of your salaried non-faculty jobs. Those are at about 15% below market, and pay grade midpoints are 17% below market. Clerical and technical, of course, is your administrative assistants. It also includes, some computer technology type jobs, accounting, business office type jobs that are in your classified pay group. And then maintenance and operations is, of course, maintenance, custodial, grounds, those types of jobs. So got a little bit of work to do. You are, unfortunately below market with each of your pay groups. So the good news is we're here to make some recommendations to work towards some improvement. So recommendation 1, we have recommended 4 pay structures for you. We have rebuilt your current structures. There's one structure for faculty, and then we have one for your administrative and professional pay group. And then you currently have one structure for your classified or non-exempt staff. We've proposed to split that into 2 just so we can be more nimble with the market values. So we've proposed one for clerical and technical staff, and then another for maintenance and operations. Recommendation 2 is to adopt a general pay increase for your staff to help you improve your market position. Administration is going to be evaluating your options and your institutional budget. Of course, that's important in the process. So they'll be sharing some recommendations for the board at a future meeting on what that's going to look like. We do recommend for faculty that we calculate that percentage as a percentage of the market median master's salary. That's where we anchor the faculty schedules and raises. And then for all of your other pay groups, calculate that pay increase as a percentage of each employee's pay grade midpoint. That's going to allow you to give a market competitive increase that's going to drive pay towards that market rate. And recommendation 3 is to provide adjustments The first one, so we talk about a general pay increase, but then we also talk about adjustments. That's ways that we can spend a little bit of money to correct pay problems. So number one is we propose some adjustments to your faculty schedule at years 12 through 20. You'll remember that we were closer to the market earlier in the schedule and further at the end. So these adjustments are designed to strategically bring that lower end of the, or the higher end of the schedule closer to the market. For other pay groups, non-faculty pay groups, if you adopt the structures that we've proposed, there will be some staff who are paid under their pay grade minimum because we've proposed some improved starting rates of pay. So when that happens, we want to adjust pay up to 1% above the minimum because we wouldn't want anyone to be paid below their pay grade. We've also applied placement scale adjustments. What those do is for your classified staff, we take the minimum to the midpoint, divide it by 15 years of experience, and then place people based on the experience that they hold in the new range. And then the last is strategic adjustments. This is more for your administrative professional staff. If after a pay increase, their pay is still 90% or less of the midpoint, we're just gonna apply a 1% of midpoint. Again, this is a way that we can spend a little bit of money and drive pay that's lowest to market towards that market rate. Recommendation 4 is really more of a future recommendation. One of your practices at Coastal Bend College is to limit faculty experience to 5 years for new hires. That is probably impeding your ability to hire experienced faculty. So when budget allows, we would recommend you use the entirety of that scale for new hires so you can recruit those experienced faculty members. But we don't want you to do that without adjusting pay for current faculty. You don't want to have a situation where you're paying new hires, in a more competitive way than your current staff. And then the last two recommendations, really these are just kind of our due diligence. We do want you to continue to adopt this market-based approach to pay planning and annually review your compensation plan. It is living and breathing, the market moves, so we want your plan to move at least annually as well.
Do you provide that service?
We do. We offer for former clients that have adopted our systems, we do provide maintenance. Much less expensive because we just have to do some tweaks. Yeah, any questions?
Did you review, or do you review job descriptions to see where people fall along the placement levels?
So we do to some degree. In fact, Dr. Lytle shared her entire database, and those job descriptions are important for us so that we're matching apples to apples. We don't want to match jobs to benchmarks based on title alone. We should match them based on their duties. So I did, it was, gosh, back in January that I was in there a lot with your job descriptions.
So we adopt some sort of plan, then you come back and work with placement of employees at different levels?
So that has been done and
already.
proposed.
So,
Now,
okay.
the report is very high level.
Okay.
But if and when, if you adopt the new structures, I'll work with Dr. Lytle and send her a detailed, all of the employee data that she sent at the start, we send it back. It has raises applied, all the adjustments for each individual person.
Would there be some individuals there that probably would be above market level in some
Oh,
areas?
sure, always.
And so you leave them there till they catch up, is that?
Well, you said above market?
Like above where we would place them, I'm sorry, maybe not market, but where you would place them after you review job
Yes,
descriptions?
I'm really glad you asked that question. As a result of this study, we will never recommend to reduce an employee's pay. And in fact, unless someone is paid above their pay grade, which I don't think you have any that are, we also recommend that everybody receive a pay increase. We're not gonna say, you know, Dr. Lytle is paid above market, and so therefore she doesn't get a pay increase. She still needs a pay increase. The cost of living is still skyrocketing for everyone. So yeah, great question.
I also thought I remembered that we used to have a cap, maybe it was for the clerical staff, where you worked 20 years and then you were not eligible for cost of living raises after that. Is that something?
Interesting.
Okay, good.
I don't see that often, and
That's
I'm not
weird,
aware of
weird,
that.
but yeah, I thought I remembered something like that at one time. Any more questions? Me.
Any other questions from the trustees?
My only quick, two questions, and I think you kind of hinted towards it. Was this total compensation or just the salary version?
Very good question. So it's just salary, so we're
Just
not
salary, so
taking
not total
into effect benefits or,
So that's
you know,
something we
any of
need to
the
think
other
about as
things.
well.
For sure.
Okay.
And do you offer that service as part of
We don't. You know, throughout the state, and you tell me, is it, so with the school districts that we work with, roughly everyone's benefits are the same. They're going through TRS. You know, different districts will pay different amounts for employees, but typically it's a wash in education. What you do have to offer is that is unique is all the wonderful things you're doing here and the
Our
supportive
working.
environment that you have. You know, those you sounds like you are playing those steps, so that's good.
And then the second question I had was this comparable to other community colleges our size, or is this just across the board of community colleges?
The market?
Yes.
So, no, we focused in on community colleges that are in the mid-size range such as yours.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a few on the list that were larger,
Yeah.
just because you do have to compete with them. But for the most part, we're looking at similarly sized colleges.
Based on census or faculty and staff size?
Both, we look at student enrollment first and then the number of full-time employees.
Okay.
And that was the slide you showed us earlier, is that correct?
Correct, yeah. Yeah, good questions.
Any other questions from the trustees?
I'll stop for now.
Thank you, Erin. We appreciate all of your work. I know this is a huge undertaking, so I appreciate the work that FASB has given us in this partnership and with our HR team. So I'm sure that we'll be having some future conversations on how to get to where we need to be as a college moving
Yeah.
forward. So.
We love to do it, and thanks again for having me tonight.
Thank you.
I was gonna say something, we've done this study before with TASB, we've been here at least since I was at the college, I remember us doing all this and getting on the right track and doing everything accordingly, but it gets lost. You know, we have different people that come in, I think I was under the impression that we were paying our employees probably at a more equitable rate based on conversations we had. And that's something I think that all of us wanna be able to do, to be fair to our employees, if not above, better than fair. But it seems like every time we have a change in administration, some of the things that we do go by the wayside. And our capacity to be able to do something about that is driven by board policy. Is there an opportunity that we can set something in policy so that if someone's gonna go different
Yeah.
with policy, that we have something to hold them accountable, and we have something to hold ourselves accountable to make sure that we're being fair to our employees.
And structure.
Yes, and structure,
That's a great point, trustee.
not
And-
whims, you
Yeah,
know.
and Erin and I discussed it, and we, part of the conversation, it was a brief conversation that we had, but I explained to her, this can't be a report that just sits on a shelf somewhere and gets
Mhm.
lost. We do need to have a yearly maintenance review, so I think in policy, we could task ourselves with, we'll have a
Yes.
yearly maintenance review or compensation study, and make determinations on budgeting perspectives, enrollment. I think it's necessary if we're serious about being competitive in the market. One of the things that stood out to me as part of the report, and I have the comprehensive report that I'll share with the trustees that provides all the data, is I think it's great that we have new faculty and that we're compensating them at a fair rate as it compares to market. But it's also concerning that we have faculty that have been here at the college and they fall below that market value. I think that's something that we need to have a very open conversation about how we bring that into parity as far as compensation is concerned.
I think this will be a lot more fairer, because in the past, like, we haven't had anything in place by policy where we have lost some quality teachers because we were not able to pay as much. But with this comparison with other colleges our sizes, I think we can compete now to keeping teachers and instructors.
I agree.
And I will add that, one thing that I was actually looking at it today, not in relation to this, but, one of our KPIs for the business office is personnel costs as a percent of total expenditures. And we're roughly at about 60% of our total expenditures are related to salaries and benefits. Now, some of those benefits are part of our restricted budget, and so I didn't pull out those dollars since that's like the on-behalf contribution for TRS, and that's something that we're currently working on reconciling. And so, but I will share that it's about 60% of our budget, and I did reach out to some other CFOs just to see like what percentage, and 60% seems to be about the median for the operating budget. And so as we, grow our student enrollment and things like that, our goal is to really just focus on that growth for us, so that way we're able to make those market adjustments in the very near future.
Then I'm gonna add something also. In the previous policy that we had for pay, the faculty was determined exactly in policy. There was no going around it. It was this amount for this amount for this amount for this. It has increased since we went to the pay plan. So that has helped.
You know, I can say historically, factually based, with every president that's come in since Boehner, we have had increases in compensation throughout the college. So I know we're not too far behind, and obviously the evidence is there. We're within 10%. Sometimes, I mean, overall we were at 93%. Was that correct? 7% of minimum, the maximum adjustment periods. So I know we've done some great jobs of getting there, but we have to be just operationally and fiscally responsible, not just fiscally looking at it one way. We've got to look at both sides and be responsible from both perspectives.
Well, I'd like to commend the current administration, because I think they have found us some money that we previously did not have. They're making some major adjustments. So some of this is possible through some of that, some money that we maybe weren't using as wisely as we could have been. And we can use it better to make morale and to appreciate the people that do the work for us. So looking forward to that.
I agree.
I agree with that.
Tara has a total amount that she'll share with the board later. I think it'll be surprising, actually.
Yeah, it was already surprising, so.
So, great.
Thank you.
Next item is item 8A, report on strategic plan development.
And I wanted to let Aaron go first, because I know Dr. Blyberry is gonna have a great presentation. He's very passionate about this, so.
My fellow citizens.
This is a big deal.
So, you should have these packets. So this is the strategic plan draft. The voice that I'm missing is the Board of Trustees. We have looked at the mission and vision of the college, and with that in mind, and focusing on the student-centered community college, we elected 58 metrics. And these 58 metrics are our KPIs that we'll be looking at over the next 5 years of this plan. We had five focus groups with 10 administrators, 5 cabinet members, 14 staff members, 5 faculty members, 10 students, and we had the community survey, and inside of the community survey, we had students, former students, parents, family members, employees, local employers, community members, all giving us their direct input. This was not a general information session in the focus groups. They were directed, they were over an hour long, even with the students. The students were engaging, told me stuff I never even thought to ask or realize. So we took all of the feedback from all of these focus groups and built it into the packet in front of you. Now what we're going to talk about is going to be an overview of the packet. I want you to take the packets with you. Obviously, you digest them on your own time. Over the next 2 weeks, if you have any comments, if you have any selected changes, anything that you feel is missing, please email Dr. Suarez. We can set up a time to sit down and go through conversation. We can even focus group it if you'd like. However you want, over the next 2 weeks, I would like your feedback and your input into the final crafting. And hopefully we'll bring this back in May for final approval and institute it going into the fall. So the plan and the framework, key performance indicators is going to be the main focus of this strategic plan. We have to measure it. We can't just say we're doing something, we have to measure what we're doing and make sure that we are actually doing it and we're impacting what we're looking to impact. Every single KPI has a champion. That champion is the responsible party of the overall theme of that, accountability, right? Inside of that, we have co-champions because some of these metrics will apply to one or more cabinet members, and those cabinet members have a shared responsibility for the impact of those metrics. So understand that as we're diving right into it, not only do we have objectives that we intend to accomplish, we have the responsible party's name for who's responsible to ensure that that growth occurs. Number one, access, belonging, and student affordability. So as we look at our priority number one, especially inside of your packet, you'll see that there's 7 objectives. So inside of the 7 objectives, we have some examples of the KPIs. The PowerPoint's going to demonstrate the examples. The metrics are on the back of your packet, completely lined out for you. The goal of strategic priority number one is to reduce barriers to access and success by fostering a welcoming campus culture, expanding affordability initiatives, and ensuring students feel supported, connected, and safe. We want our students to be able to get here and afford it. We want them to know about us. We want them to come in. We want them to feel like they are valued and appreciated while they are here at Coastal Bend College. That is our overarching goal. We want them to know that we are supporting them in all of their endeavors. I believe there's almost 20 metrics just attached to this one priority.
I have something to say.
Yes, ma'am.
Just because we went over it right now, but it looks like we're gonna have a strong focus on caring campus.
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe a welcoming, caring campus or something to tie it into what we're doing.
Yes,
Maybe,
ma'am.
okay, and maybe not there, maybe if it's better somewhere else, but it seems like it's probably gonna be here. It just, it's probably silly, but it's part of the overall focus, right?
It's
'Cause we're gonna
absolutely
be-
not silly.
Okay, then,
And I anticipated this, and we have it already in the plan.
You do?
Just for you.
I'll do it.
Strategic priority number 2, student success and completion. Increase student persistence, completion, post-completion outcomes by simplifying pathways, aligning academic and workforce programs, delivering proactive, integrated student supports. When they come here, that's not enough. We want them to finish, we want them to have gainful employment, we want them to be successful in their endeavors, and we're going to look and we're going to measure all of the things associated with students that we would see in graduation metrics. This one right here, graduates with no more than 3 semester credit hours in excess of their degree. So right now, I can tell you that more than 50% of our students that graduate with a degree graduate with 64 credit hours or more for a 60 credit hour degree. Which means minds were changed, our pathways weren't clear. We have an opportunity to improve their experience, and the lower we can get that number, the more money they save, the faster they finish, and it overall rounds out their experience. Now that's just one example of one data point and what it means to the institution, to the students. Number 3, teaching, learning, academic excellence. Advanced student learning through high-impact instructional practices, innovative delivery models, and continuous improvement of academic quality. This metric, this priority is on the teaching in the heart of the institution. Improving those practices, giving them opportunities to be innovative, allowing faculty to experiment and find the best ways that resonate with our students. We're Workforce and economic alignment, ensure programs, credentials, and training directly respond to regional labor market demands, support economic mobility for students and communities served. They need to be able to get a job with the education that they have obtained at Coastal Bend College. Transfer success, we have it. Employment is going to be a big focus of our strategic plan moving forward over the next 5 years. Our economic partners, where are our students going to work? Is there programs that we need to start up because of the jobs in our regional area? Do we need to look at the regional in-demand occupation list and which one is translating to the occupations for our students upon graduation? These are all of the points that we're going to be looking at, looking to increase, looking to measure, and improve.
Do we utilize internships at the college level?
We've had internship opportunities that were not fully taken advantage of. Currently, I'm not aware of any. I would defer to
I'm not aware
Mark?
of any currently.
And before we skip on this slide, part of the importance is that we talk about getting the students credentialed, getting them graduated. That's not enough. We need to make sure that when they graduate, they have a livable wage. I mean, we need to make sure that that credential that they got was enough for them to sustain a living, right? If they're graduating and having to work 2 to 3 jobs to sustain a living, that's not success. And that's where the conversation comes in on the credentials and if they're valued and what importance they have regionally. So, and a lot of the work that we're hoping to do with respect to, which I think, to some extent, it is a positive in the realignment with the Department of Justice and the TRIO, or the Talent Search Grants, does focus on apprenticeships and internships. So institutions have to be much more intentional about what we're doing for our graduates, and that's how we're gonna get funded and measured moving forward.
And I think you said ConocoPhillips was maybe looking at some internships
Yes,
possibilities?
they're building a framework right now. When we last discussed it, so that'll take some time, but I think there's also companies that offer online internships and apprenticeships that our students can find value in, whether it's business management, economics, engineering, whatever that may be. There's options that I think we can modify for our rural service areas, because the reality is, we don't have the large industries like they do in San Antonio or Dallas, or Fort Worth. Toyotas, the HEBs, those are typically at a larger scale for the amount of students that we have. But there is some opportunities that we can explore.
Do you want questions now or you want questions afterwards?
No, ask me now.
Okay. So with respect to workforce economic alignment, is there I'm trying to think of how to ask this question. Is there a way that we're not just responsive to the labor market, but possibly
Anticipatory of it?
and development of it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So by utilizing ONET and the Bureau of Labor and some of our statistics that we have as far as occupational growth coming into the counties that we serve, as well as the economic development forums that we're paying attention to, we can anticipate what type of industries might be moving into the area. Right now, we know, everybody knows about Tesla in Robstown, right? And so you're talking about, right, you're talking about that one particular industry.
Yeah.
Well, they have the battery makers. What they don't have is supply chain logistics, because that is not a field that's offered within our area. So by bringing in project management and embedding project management and logistical supply chain into that degree plan, we have now fit a need, not just for that industry, but ConocoPhillips, oil field, business, retail, when we're looking at grocers and suppliers. And that's not a degree that is mapped out across our service area or other universities within that are our neighbors. So we find those niches, which is why Dr. Suarez had the project management degree plan come to life and brought in, is because it's filling a void inside of the economic growth. It's not necessarily making the batteries, but there is a multitude of support that goes into that business that other people aren't focused on. And so we may not be able to afford the multi-million-dollar supercell lab factory, but we can produce top-notch, top-tier project management.
Somebody's got to bring the material to make the batteries to them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's nothing for them to make.
The project management, is there a possibility to structure that so it could be a weekend course for some people, or I'm thinking because there's a lot of people that are already employed that would like to take on a bigger role at with their employer, and they need the management, the project management type experiences, but they can't come during what our regular structure is. Maybe developing a cohort so that a group of them could come in together, and that would make the class. In other words, we need 10 people to make a project management class that would meet X number of Friday through Saturday, half-day Sundays, and you would finish in X number of time.
I'm deferring to Mr. C.
Well, yes, ma'am, I would think, contact the employer, look at putting together a cohort, put together a block schedule, see what the options are for the employees. Are we looking at weekends? Are we looking at evenings? Are we looking at hybrid? What will work for them?
Or is the employer willing to let them do it because they need that experience among their staff?
Right, and have the communication with them and let them tell us what works for you, rather than us telling them, here's what we're offering.
Exactly, excellent.
What do you need?
Uh-huh.
So absolutely.
And I think what's so innovative about the project management degree, it's so cross-functional. I mean, when I was working at South Texas College, we had a project manager overseeing the Workday implementation. It's the meeting management, making sure the deliverables are being met, they're working behind the scenes to coordinate all of that. And that specific individual was making upwards of $65,000 a year. I mean, that is substantial, fully remote in some cases. So I think it's a good way for us to find very cross-functional degrees that applies to certain, a lot of fields rather than just one specific niche.
Not a good stuff here. Keep going, I think we're almost there.
Yes, sir. Strategic priority number 5. Institutional effectiveness, stewardship, and sustainability. This is cross-checking us. Ensure the institution operates efficiently, transparently, responsibly by aligning planning, budgeting, governance, and data-informed decision-making. This one's co-shared between the CFO and that pesky VP of planning. So as you can see, some of the things that we're going to be looking at is percent of action plans created based on data, data accuracy and audit results, year-over-year cost savings. These are the big picture items, and these are the things that we're going to be paying attention to every single year as we report. But when we look at these 58 metrics, it is very difficult for us to find that one lighthouse moment, that one lighthouse metric that we are gunning for. What are we really trying to improve? If we improve each one of these, what does that matter? And that's where we have our lighthouse moment. We are going to give 5,000 college credentials over the next 5 years. Just so you know, over the last 5 years, previously, we gave out 4,332 college credentials. We're gonna hit 5,000. That is how we know the system's working, that we are working, and that we're moving in the right direction. So that'll be our lighthouse, big visual. That is the purpose of our strategic plan and our goal over the next 5 years. Questions?
Lighthouse moment.
That's fantastic that it's data driven. We've been pushing for that and to see actual, numerical indications that we are trending in the right direction. And not just in the major areas, but along areas that you've listed as each of your objectives. Those are important.
If we mind the pennies, the dollars will take care of
Yes,
themselves.
yes. If we do the little thing, it'll overall grow.
So really just 700 more over 5 years, that's it?
You adjusted.
It is my goal to hit this by year 4, sir.
4?
I told him to add another 0, but he didn't.
Next year, sir.
Wouldn't it be exciting though if he came back and said, we're gonna adjust it?
Jared's just under promising. I'm sure he's gonna over deliver, right, Jared?
Yeah, that's good.
I expect nothing less.
That's the hope, sir.
Yeah. And in building this plan, one of the discussions we had early on is that it needs to be very intentional. There has to be data behind it. We have to be able to measure where we're going. For lack of a better term, it can't be smoke and mirrors, like there has to be an end goal. And I'm very confident on this graph and where it's at. The team has done an amazing job in putting these together so we can evaluate the work that's taking place and where we expect to be moving forward.
And on your final 2 pages, there are definitions for all of the wording. That way, if you're talking about Retention, what does retention mean within the confines of this document? It's there for clarity. That way no one can say you misunderstood.
Well, I just say this is the most practical I've seen in quite a while, so thank you.
My team did a great job. I just got in their way most of the time.
Makes sense.
Okay, I hired him at
Thank you. Item 8C, report on fiscal year 2027 budget update.
Yes, and Tara will be giving us an update on our budget planning process for this year. I know, Board Chair, when we discussed, where we were at and where we infused the board at some point in that process, Tara's gonna outline, currently where we're at with the budget development for next year. Exactly.
So, first I'm gonna give an update on business services. So, I'm happy to report that the slide says that we're understaffed and we're working to fill 3 vacancies due to recent turnover. However, we have filled all 3 vacancies and expect all of those employees to be starting in the month of May. And so we're very excited about that. Our current staff within the business office includes capable and willing employees. We have a great team. What? You want me to go stand up there?
No, they're willing employees.
They are.
As opposed to the captives.
No one is forced to work. So, we have. They're willing.
We're free. Just saying.
So we have revamped our accounts payable process, including updates to our P-card compliance. We've spent a lot of time, I don't know if y'all know, we made a change to US Bank from CitiCard because we were using a contract that was based on the state contract, and so they switched to US Bank. And so we're working to improve that process. We've been on some calls with US Bank lately where we're hoping to be able, we have the GL set up where P-card users can log into US Bank and put their GLs into it. Right now, they're just putting them on Excel spreadsheets and we're having to manually input those into our system. And we realized recently that it's taking our AP staff roughly like a week and a half, depending on how much they have to email for approvals and things like that, just to get those entered. And so we're hoping to be able, US Bank's gonna build us a download template that we can just import into our system. And so hopefully that process will be improved in the next month. We also have made updates to our procurement manual. They're in the final stages of being implemented, hopefully by early summer. And we have sent out, this says that we're having budget manager trainings, but we've already sent out the documentation. I've gotten some good feedback. And so our budget managers are already have access to their budget within Colleague, and they're putting in their requests and changes. And so speaking of the budget plan on the next slide, we've already deployed the budget. Budget managers have access. We've asked them to get with their respective VP member to discuss any new initiatives that they have and initiatives that are no longer needed. We are, in our previous trainings, we've said, do a contract review. Dr. Swords created a project charter that we were requiring for all technology or software purchases that are over $500 annually. And so the project charter is very lengthy, but we really want to align the budget with the institutional needs. And so as those requests are brought, we are sending contracts to be reviewed by legal. And so Corey and his team have done a lot of work for us recently, looking at those things and helping us set up agreements that are good for the college and that benefit us. So in May, we will have a cabinet retreat where we're gonna consolidate all of the departmental budgets and we're gonna prioritize and rank high priority initiatives. So based on what cabinet thinks are our priority initiatives, we're gonna gather that data. And by June, we should have revenue projections to be able to present a balanced budget to a board finance budget workshop. And so we're gonna bring the budget to y'all, and we'd like to do that in June, where we have early revenue projections, and then we want y'all's input on what we consider the highest ranking priorities. Obviously, we can't fund every initiative that's brought to us, and so we want y'all's input on that, and then in July, Cabinet will finalize revenue projections and bring those budget revisions back to the board for more feedback. So if we need to have, if y'all request a second budget meeting just to look at those priorities one more time in July, we would be able to do that. And our goal is to have the final budget approved at the August 18th board meeting. And so we are on track for that right now. I have a list on this little slide of Dr. Sora's availability to have budget meetings, and so we're gonna be reaching out to budget managers tomorrow to start scheduling those meetings for 30 minutes up to an hour. I know for some divisions, they have pretty large budgets, and so they may need more time. But Cabinet has all been on board with meeting with their budget managers and their respective divisions to talk about initiatives and priorities and getting early feedback from their VP before presenting an initiative in their budget meeting. But we're gonna have face-to-face meetings with all budget managers.
Tara, how is this coordinating with the program reviews, I guess?
For,
I'm probably saying the wrong term, I just couldn't remember. But every year, every department gets together and they do their program reviews for the year and set their objectives and do budget requests. Is that part of the process?
yeah, so I think that the VPs are handling that. It's kind of an, this is typically the time that most community colleges have that, so if there are initiatives that they know are gonna be coming up, that's gonna be
So they're doing
included.
their planning with this as part of that for?
That is my understanding. Are you?
And just to provide some, because I know on the program review, that's sometimes on the academic side, that they do the program reviews to see what type of need we may have with instructional resources or faculty. That is something that we'll be relaunching, I mean, to be quite frank, this upcoming spring. And with the approach we're gonna take is really place all of the programs, the academic programs, on a calendar, where they'll function on a carousel. So every 3 years, there'll be a group of programs that'll be reviewed, and that'll give us an opportunity with the budget that we have for that year to really institutionalize the changes that faculty are wanting, or the academic programs, whether it's technology, adding a faculty, updating them instructional classes. We wanna make sure we take that approach just so we don't do a program review across the board, and then departments feel like we're maybe selecting or secluding some and prioritizing others when that's not the case. It's a very strategic and intentional approach to the program review on the academic side. But the departmental unit planning, I guess is what we call it on the budgeting side, that's where this comes into play,
Okay.
where the departments meet and say, this is what I need for my department, as part of the process. But the terminology kind of gets interchanged.
Yeah, I was trying to remember it, but I remembered it when we were here, and it was a program review, and you met with budget, and you did budget at the same time that you were figuring out what you needed, so I was wondering if that was still part of the process.
Yeah, that's
Little
taking
different.
place right now, and as part of the meetings that I'll have with not only the VPs, but the directors, the budget managers, we'll have this discussion, so that's really the department unit planning process that we have. Yeah.
And so also at the August board meeting is when we'll have the information from B County, so we'll have the certified values and propose the tax rate and have that scheduled if we need public hearings and things like that. And so once we have the tax roll, we'll know what our property taxes will look like, and we should have projections from the state by, is it late June?
Usually it's late June, we can run it by 10.
Yeah.
Usually early June, and then we just see if the state matches ours by the late June.
So, and then the tax rate will be adopted at the September meeting, as usual, so.
Yeah, I wanna recognize Tara and her team for the amount of work that took place in developing this streamlined process. A lot of the work that took place in the fall was really developing the budget within colleague, which that hadn't been the case. We had transitioned to strategic planning online, and I'm not sure if the trustees recall, but part of that process, it became kind of like a wish list, where we were planning, we had an excess budget request of about $4.5 million, that there was no way that we were gonna be able to fund any of those projects. So going back to the discussions of the departmental planning, that really, it reduces the morale, because employees are doing a lot of great work in planning, and we're saying, well, we just don't have the money for it. This is a very strategic approach to where are the revenues, what that we're expecting, and as far as whether it's tuition and fees, or what we're gonna get funded through the state, and then building the projects that way. So it's a more intentional approach. And Tara, I don't know if you want to maybe provide some highlights on that work that you all did in the fall. I know you all had to build that from scratch, basically.
Yeah, it was a lot of work, and it's still a lot of work. I've had to, when I first deployed the budget, it was mid-March, and most people didn't know that it was out there, so they didn't go look at it. But I had to redeploy it several times because of some different changes within how we wanted it set up, and there's still some imperfections. And so I did have to reach out to a Lucian, but we don't want to postpone what we're doing. And so a lot of the work that we've done is just setting up who budget managers are, who's responsible. We set cutoff dates for all budget managers as of May 15th. So as of May 15th, budget managers excluding VPs will not have access to make any requests. And so we've also communicated to them that budget meetings will end May 15th. And so we've been very intentional in communicating that with them. And so the goal is to work early, and then, as I mentioned, setting those priority initiatives and then having the board's feedback on those priority initiatives, so that way we're all in agreement. You know, even if we disagree, we'll come to a solution for what we're gonna fund and what we can't fund. And so, so the intention is to have them meet with their VP early on, because on cabinet, like, we're the advocate for our divisions, and we have to advocate for what we need. But then we also have to be reasonable in the decisions that we've made, and I'm really grateful for the cabinet that we have, because when we meet, even if, you know, decisions have to be made, like, we're making decisions and following through, and not just letting things fall to the wayside. And so,
Has the reception been good, as far as including people in part of the budget process and including them early?
yes, all the feedback that I've gotten has been positive. I think Dr. Lytle said that she cut a certain % out of her budget. She was very excited. And so we have asked people, like, if you know, just to be fair and reasonable, and so, you know, we're asking people to cut where they're not spending money. And we can also go in and, you know, as I'm preparing for budget meetings, I have a spreadsheet with notes by division, and, you know, if they've had this budget line item for the last 10 years and they've spent 1% of it year after year, I'm gonna be like, do you really, like, why are we hanging on to this? And so those type of conversations, like, we can just be candid with them and ask them.
Do you think that some of that money that's in there that wasn't utilized, do you think it's attributable to the fact that some of them didn't know or really didn't feel comfortable, you know, utilizing their budgets?
It could be a number of things. You know, sometimes things happen in one year that aren't indicative of what's gonna happen in the future. And part of the challenges that we faced in fiscal year '26 was that the budget was created prior to me being here, and it was based on data as of a certain date, I think like mid-May or June, and so a lot of the summer initiatives weren't funded. And so we've been very intentional with having to move funds from different divisions. And one of the early meetings that I had, Dr. Leitmal actually had, was with the nursing division, and they said, oh, you can cut all of this stuff. And I think we ended up moving $180,000 that we were able to fund some of the student affairs division projects for the summer that hadn't been funded at that point. And so we did have to do some things within our budget very early on.
I think after this first year, they'll probably really be more excited about the process, because they'll see how it actually works. You know, that it's not just someone giving them a budget amount or the same budget every year, because that's how it's always been.
Yeah, and sometimes whenever I was communicating, I would just hear, well, I put that in SPOL, is that, and then they just assumed that was their budget, but SPOL doesn't talk to colleague, and so they didn't even know that wasn't their budget, or pretty early on, and so it was a challenge, but we had.
Yeah, well, you know, thank you so much for all the work you did.
That's great work.
I think that does it for the reports. We move on to item 9, new business. 9A, consideration and possible action on engagement of external auditor for fiscal year 2026.
So for this, trustees, we are requesting authorization to engage Whitley Penn to perform the college's annual external audit for this upcoming fiscal year. We've had a really great experience with just their approach to the audit process. I know Tara's gonna provide some more insights on that, but we wanna make sure that we have a timely audit, as we did this past year. And more importantly, that it's correct and that we identify any issues that we may need to modify or adjust in that process. So Tara, if you wanna maybe provide some highlights on that work and this agreement.
So Whitley Penn assisted CRR with our finalizing our 2024 audit, and they were our only auditor for fiscal year 2025. And Crispin Blau, our controller, provided me with some data regarding audit fees that we have paid year over year. And I'm just gonna share just like a little snapshot, but in fiscal year 2020, we paid $115,000. In fiscal year 2020 was $108,000, and fiscal year 22 was $63,000. For fiscal year 23, our audit fees were $311,945. In fiscal year 2024, $501,000 for $496. In fiscal year 2025, it was $80,800. The audit fees that we're paying do include some non-attest services. They're listed in the engagement letter, and the auditors are very gracious in performing these non-attest services. They do have to notify the board of the work that they're doing on the college's behalf. Some of that has to do with the turnover that we've experienced. Our goal is to pull some of this back into our office, but right now we don't have the capacity to handle the new pronouncements, and so they perform our GASB 65 and 78, which is our pension and OPEB calculations. They also do our GASB 87 and 96, which is our leases and our SPIDAs that are required to be reported as right-of-use assets. They're also doing GASB 101, which is our compensated absences calculation. And for this fiscal year, there's a new GASB 103 that they're going to implement on our behalf. And so we do provide them the details for all of those GASB pronouncements, but they do the calculations on our behalf for some parts of it. Crispin does assist in the preparation of the financial statements and the notes and the MD&A, and she does provide that to the auditors. They just make it really pretty and clean. And so it's a very reasonable fee, and so I would ask that y'all approve to sign the engagement letter with Whitley Penn.
I move for approval.
I second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the retention of Whitley Penn for preparation of the audit for fiscal year 2026. Any further discussion?
Just one more question, what was that fee again?
80, it's actually, I think with the non-attest services, for this year it's 85,200, so. And it was 80,800 in the last fiscal year.
With or without?
With all the non-attest services. The only additional amount that we may have to pay is for out-of-pocket expenses, which for fiscal year 2025, they came during the summer and did most of our single audit and some of their other early preparation for the audit, but the actual audit of the financial statements was done 100% remotely for fiscal year 25. So we feel like out-of-pocket will be minimal.
That's the only question I have.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item 9B, consideration and possible action of authorization for disposal of surplus, damaged furniture and equipment. Dr. Swens?
Yes, Board Chair, so we have, in the process of the updates that we'll be making to the dorms, we need to have now space where we can house the furniture that we'll be pulling out of the dorms during the summer. So this basically getting rid of the excess furniture that we have that's damaged is a project that we've been undertaking over the past couple of months. We are bringing this recommendation to the trustees for approval. It's a recommendation that we got from our distribution center and property manager. It's basically 30 chairs and wheels with water damage or missing wheels, 14 tables that are water damaged, broken legs, missing hardware, desks, 3 desks that are water rotted, missing parts, 4 dressers that are damaged, missing hardware, missing drawers, 1 couch that's water damaged, glass display cases, 9 that are rusted, and 1 timbre podium that is damaged items, missing hardware, missing drawers. So we did actually provide photos of the items in the board packet for the trustees. We want to be very transparent in the work that we're doing. So,
Okay.
I know we want to make sure that the trustees know what you all are approving.
He gave you the color photos.
Yeah.
I move.
So-
Second.
I will add that we do plan to hold an auction this summer with direct bids. They already have a listing that they had prepared partially for us previously for items that are not in disrepair. These are gonna be disposals based on CID local policy, and so we're gonna be able to dispose of what we consider to have no value. But the items that do have value, we do plan to hold an auction.
Motion on the floor.
It's been moved and seconded to approve. Any further discussion?
I just have one question. The rain damage, that didn't happen in that building perchance? It was something, is it something, a bigger issue that we have than just disposal?
Different building.
Yeah, different building.
Different building. Okay, so we're good.
Yes.
That was good, I like that one, that was good.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Item 9C, consideration and possible action to approve a facilities rental agreement update for Joe Hunter Field. The administration has advised that they would like the board to table this matter to give them additional time to gather and present additional data to the board. So the chair will entertain a motion to table.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to table. Item 9C, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Item 10, approval of financial reports for March 2026.
And Tara will be providing us with an update, and the statements are here, provided with trustees in a separate packet. So they're for your reference.
So for March 31st, 2026, I'm gonna start with the statement of net position. Again, most of the statement of net position is not changed until the year-end audit. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of the audit work relates to some of our balance sheet accounts. But I do wanna touch on our cash position right now is 15.7 million in unrestricted cash and 3.9 million in restricted cash, which is the tax maintenance note funds. We have long-term investments of almost 8 million. Those are held at LP&L investments. And so I want to mention those because I know that last month Victor asked me about our reserve balance, and in my mind I was thinking of our unrestricted net position, but we do have in our cash balance, that is the 15.7 million. Of that balance, we have 7.6 million that's held at Texas Class in a general unrestricted fund. And since I began, we've had conversations about what we need our minimum cash balance to be in our actual operating account at Prosperity. And currently, or as of March 31st, our cash balance at Prosperity was 5.9 million. And so in the business office, Crispin and I had a meeting today. We discussed like what does our minimum cash need to look like. And right now, because we are short-staffed, we don't have the capacity to look at daily cash balances. But our goal for the future is to look at the cash balance daily and anticipate needs related to payroll, like funding payroll, funding our payables, because all of our grant funds and everything are held in our operating cash account. But being able to move those funds, it usually takes same day or the next within one business day. And so having the staffing to be able to anticipate those fundings, we should be able to increase our interest income by keeping the funds held in Texas Class. The interest rate on our Prosperity account is like 0.753% annually, and our Texas Class is roughly like 3.7 to 3.8%. And so we do want to be able to maintain our funding where we can earn interest, and so that is something that we're looking at very closely. The LPL amounts are 8,001,000. That includes about 30-something or 300,000 in cash at LPL, but those are not liquid. We lose money if we pull it out early, and so there are some higher interest rates with LPL, but we have to put them in for a certain number of years, and so we don't want to limit our liquidity just to earn a few more dollars. Because if there ever was a time we needed to fund a project or do something, we would lose money by doing that. So I'm going to move on to the budget to actual for the restricted budget. One of the, whenever we prepare the financial statements, due to the timing, a lot of times everything isn't posted for March, and so you're seeing preliminary numbers. For financial aid and grants, they haven't been fully reconciled, so the expenses will typically be more than what the revenues are, because we haven't performed the drawdown. For the state benefit and appropriations, these numbers include ERS payments. We are working, and HR is actually Dr. Lytle's division is working really hard to reconcile so we can get what goes into the restricted fund recorded. And so whenever you see that the state benefit appropriation revenue is 56% under budget, that's because we're still working on getting those adjusted. And so that's all for the restricted budget to actual. And if you go to your unrestricted budget to actual, we have, we're on track for all areas. The only outliers really are fast bill credit, where we're 99% under budget. The $22,392 we received is actually for fiscal year 2025. Fast funding isn't fast, it's very slow. And so a lot of times by the time we get the data and it's time to submit it, it's the next fiscal year before you receive it. And so we did get an email this week that for fall 2025 non-flex was approved on April 16th by the coordinating board for $436,617.72. We have not received that payment as of today, whenever I checked the bank, but we do expect to receive it in the near future. Fall 2025 flex ended January the 9th because that takes into account the wintermester dates, and so that one, I haven't seen that it's been approved. And so we will have an update, but we are expecting the $436,000 in the near future for the fast funding. Tuition and fees, we're very close to reaching our budget. Auxiliary, again, is over budget. A lot of that has to do with our meal plans and our, the room and board and stuff. For expenses, we are at about 47% under budget for the year, which is good since we're past the 6-month mark. And so I will share that we did a review in line with the TASB survey in the staffing plan that Dr. Suarez created. Dr. Lyle and I did a review of the salaries today, and we did align the rest of the fiscal year salaries to true up the budgets that are currently in colleague, and we were able to move, have a savings of $249,000, and it was a generous budget adjustment that we did prepare today. Likely we could have had a few more dollars in the bucket, but we wanted to be conscientious of the changes that are happening in our athletic programs and mariachi programs. Positions that we know were planned, we added those to the budget just to be prepared for the rest of the fiscal year. And as positions are vacant, we could see some more savings later, but this was a really generous approach at truing up our budget to actual for the rest of the year in regards to salaries. And so overall, we already had approximately $415,000, and you'll see in your unrestricted that $415,000 budget adjustment. That's essentially the balance in that reserve that we've set aside to fund different projects. And in light of that, we're adding the $249,000 in April. It's gonna really help us to work on some of the initiatives, including, we're really looking at some different options in the Yostis building related to the nursing program. They have their on-site review coming up May the 8th, and so IT facilities and myself, we've been going and walking that campus. We've met with Dr. Suarez and Leota and Luana to kind of get their ideas of what they need, and gathering quotes and different things to fund the improvements that need to be made. And Dr. Jones and her team under Dean Secord, they're also doing walkthroughs on the campus and other instructional rooms to see what we need just to be able to to make those changes. And so these are the kind of things that we're trying to fund with the dollars that we have found in savings from other areas, so.
That's great savings.
And I would encourage the trustees to, if you have an opportunity to visit the USDIS building, just the updates as the team has done over the past week with cleaning, painting, making sure that the building is ready for the on-site visit. We're just very happy. There's been a lot of great work that's taking place, and we're not done yet. There's a few things that we have to do over the next couple of weeks, but we're very confident that we'll be able to put our best foot forward with the on-site review and that work. So.
Is there a motion to approve?
So
moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve financial report for March 2026. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Good job,
Agenda item number 11, review of informational reports. 11A in particular, review of contracts for employment and resignations as recommended by the college president. Dr. Starks.
Trustee says is custom in our regular board meetings, I presented the list on the new hire report and also the vacancy report. I'd be open to any questions. Definitely discuss it now or during executive regarding the reports that have been provided.
Any discussion?
No, sir.
All right. Item 11B, board committee reports. I don't believe any of the committees, executive finance and audit or policy met this past month.
That is correct, Board.
All right.
Ms. Juarez, is that I don't remember if the committees were a board policy or just something that we had done as a practice, do you know?
I know it's been a good practice. A lot of boards actually facilitate that with different committees, so I think it would be good for us to maybe redevelop or re-meet.
The history behind that is we decided to put it up here for transparency perspectives. We did not decide to put it in the board policy, if I remember correctly, simply because we didn't want to be held to it for something. That person was out, the representation of that group was out, we wouldn't have that representation, so we wanted to make sure there was some leeway there.
I think it's a good thing, I just don't know that we've been doing it, and I don't know if that's the format that you would like to approach it with, and if it's something we need to consider, because it's been on every month, and I don't know that any of us have actually met, you know?
I think as needed, we could call a committees or a committee as needed, depending on what topic we're reviewing. I think what's really helped the facilitation of our review process and decision-making is the amount of effort and time that goes into our executive discussions. So I think that approach has been working. I think it will continue working in the way that we need it to. And I want to be mindful also of, it just depends on the board structure as well. I think the way our board is currently structured, this is indicative of having this framework is good. And you're right, Trustee Gomez, for SACS accreditation purposes, we wouldn't want to have it in a policy if we're not going to officially meet.
Yes.
And at that period of time that we decided to come up with this, we were moving a lot of things, policy. I think policies, if correct me if I'm wrong, hadn't been updated in like several years, so we wanted to do that. And the only way to get through that in
To
the
do it
first, second, and
quickly
third
is
review was to be able to do this.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's just kind of dependent on the situations and circumstances.
So do you utilize an ad hoc committees at all for that?
From time to time.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're saying, it's circumferential.
Yeah,
Situation.
depending on the subject or the issue that may come up.
So,
All right. This time, it's agenda item 12, executive session, and it is 7:28. The board will now convene in a closed meeting to discuss items posted on our agenda this evening, in particular under Texas Government Code 551.076, security devices or security audits, Texas Government Code section 551.071, consultation with attorney, and Texas Government Code section 551.074, personnel. No voting will take place in the closed meeting. Any action the board wishes to take as a result of discussions in closed session will take place after the board reconvenes. Okay, it's 9:01 and the board is now reconvening from executive session. There are no matters that were discussed in executive session that require a vote of the board in open session. Dr. Suarez, I believe you have some announcements.
Yes, just some quick announcements, Board Chair. So we have the Radiologic Technology Award Ceremony that will be held at 6:30 p.m. May 13th of this year in the Gertrude R. Jones Auditorium. We have the nurse pinning that will be held at 10 a.m. May 14th in the Peter S. Marasek Physical Fitness Center. We have the Dental Hygiene Award Ceremony that will be held at 6 p.m. May 14th in the Gertrude R. Jones Auditorium. And then once again, we have the graduation ceremonies, which will be held at 2 p.m. May 14th and 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. May 15th in the Peter S. Marasek Physical Fitness Center. Summer hours for CBC will begin May 18th and end August 7th. Work hours will be from 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and we will be closed on Fridays. The May regular board meeting will be held on Tuesday, May 19th at 5:30 p.m. here in the Sandy Dirks boardroom. And just a quick highlight, and I think we're very, very excited about just the opportunity to present also at a national level. The board chair, Mr. Sanchez, Braden Reed, and myself will be presenting at NISOD's 2026 annual conference on advancing community college student engagement. Our presentation will focus on from transfer to promise, designing guaranteed bachelor's access for rural community college students on May 25th in Austin. And this just highlights that the national community is already recognizing the work that we're doing as a board with respect to the promise to promise framework, which we piloted with and are working collaboratively with South Texas College. We are also in the process of executing a similar agreement with Del Mar College that will likely finalize here within the next couple of weeks. So very innovative approach to just making sure our students have access not only to a 2-year associate's degree, but a 4-year baccalaureate degree specifically online. So very excited about that presentation. I know we're going to represent the college well in that work.
And I just want to report, I know that I saw the calendar that we'll be adopting the budget in September. I will be gone, just to let you know in advance. I'll be in Spain.
Okay.
Nice.
I'm going with you. We can have the board
Forget the
meeting.
meeting.
The bodyguard, just post it.
Yeah, maybe you can host it over there for us.
Yeah. Those are all my announcements for today.
Okay, at this time, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Second.
Okay, so we move in second to adjourn. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Meeting adjourned.
Dr. Suarez, no secretary yet?
Not yet. No, I learned how to do board work.
You did?
Yes, I did.